Hello YouTube, B3 here back with another kicking graphic novel trade review. Yeah, so last time I said I'd either do Thor, Pacific Rim, or Super Sons. So we did Super Sons, or I'm doing Super Sons right now, I suppose I should say. But I guess to you it is did. Whatever. But Super Sons, so this is the team-up book for Superboy and Robin, that is Jonathan Kent, Superboy, and Damian Wayne Robin specifically. So, I mostly bought this for Jonathan Kent. I actually really like Jonathan Kent. If I had a kid, I would want them to be like Jonathan Kent. I think that's about as good as you can get with a kid. The thing I would want my kid to be the least, however, is Damian Wayne. He's a little shit. And I don't like Damian. The only stories that I really like, where I like Damian, would be stories where he's with Dick Grayson. Like when Dick was Batman, or like stuff from Battle for the Cow, or Batman and Robin. Or in Nightwing Volume 3, which we'll also be reviewing at some point. Which is a throwback to another Batman story that I have. But, we're gonna talk about Super Sons. It's got a good creative team. Peter J. Tomasi, I've read a lot of his work. He does some good work. George Jimenez, sorry, I pronounced that incorrectly. That's my bad. Jorge Jimenez, I think is how that's pronounced. And Alejandro Sanchez. Not as familiar with those last two names. But Peter J. Tomasi I am familiar with. It's got some good reviews. Big, bold, and hilarious. Super Sons is consistently fantastic. I don't know about consistently fantastic, but it is big, bold, and hilarious. It is a fun book. Readers looking for a thrilling all-ages title should definitely check out Super Sons AV Club The Onion. It actually is a good all-ages title. Like, if you want to get something you and your kids can read together and both really enjoy, Super Sons is a good book for that. Super Sons retains much of the charm that makes Superman such a joy to read, but with the added fun of the Damian-John dynamic to spice things up. Right now, in Volume 1, though, the dynamic is mostly just them arguing. They have a lot in common, they just haven't realized it yet. Damian thinks he's the best superhero on the face of the earth, and John knows he has a lot to learn. So like the whole time, John is like, we should call Batman and Superman. And Robin's like, fuck them, fuck my dad. He didn't take me on patrol tonight, and therefore I'm gonna act out because I'm a fucking piece of shit. But the way the story goes is, there's this Kid Amazo, who was a hero who could like split himself, and he stole this Amazo armor from Lex Luthor. So Lex Luthor, Superman, is in this book. So many Supermen running around Rebirth, you know. And this is post-Superman Reborn. So Superman's continuity has been fused in, so they're moving to Metropolis. John doesn't want to move to Metropolis. And they both got family stuff going on. So they can relate to each other. They just... it's mostly Damian's fault, because he's a huge ass. If Damian was just half decent, they'd get along great. But Kid Amazo is the main villain. He's like making copies of heroes and stuff because he has the ability to multiply himself. And he got his powers from the Amazo virus, and the 3% of the people that were infected with the virus kept their powers. So that's pretty crazy. And his whole family kept their powers. And they were like a superhero team for like a week, a month, something like that. And then he kidnapped them all. He fucking replicated them because he used the Amazo like armor that Lex Luthor had on his body, so it combined Amazo's powers with his replication powers, so he can replicate himself, and then these Amazo drones he creates can replicate powers. So it's like an army of Amazos. Luckily, these Amazos have the mind of a 15-year-old boy. And luckily, he was really just fighting Superboy and Robin. One who has still developing powers, and another who has none. So that's good. But I guess Batman and Superman kind of like helped that kid during the fucking Volume 6 of Justice League, for the Amazo virus, during that outbreak. I reviewed that volume already, you can check it out. But because he was able to copy them. you see. And he copied his whole family, so he had his whole family's powers. But he was like making the copies of his family sentient so he could kill his family over and over and over again, but the family turned out to not be dead in the end. Once again, all ages title. It really is good. But it's not my favorite book of Rebirth. Will I get Volume 2? I'm actually on the fence about it. We'll see. I'll probably pick up Volume 2, but if Volume 2 doesn't impress me more, then I'll probably stop. Because, I mean, is this a bad book? Not at all. It's not bad. I just don't like to read Damian Wayne. I'm probably not going to get Volume 2 of Teen Titans at all. I have Volume 1 of Teen Titans. I'll review that at some point. But it's whatever. I'm going to read you the back of the book. That's something I've started doing. So here's that. The sons of Superman and Batman take center stage as a reluctant super team in an all-new series bursting out of the DC Rebirth event. When Robin, Damian Wayne, discovers a connection between a series of mysterious crimes in the aftermath of the bizarre and deadly Amazo virus, he needs Superboy, Jonathan Kent, to aid in the investigation. But when the duo learn that the teenage Kid Amazo has a plan to put the entire Justice League in danger, they need the help from an unlikely source. Lex Luthor! Even if the odd couple of young heroes survive, Luthor's assistants... I like how that's worded. They have to face a possibly greater threat, the combined forces of Robin's tutor, Alfred Pennyworth, and Superboy's mother, Lois Lane, because they sneak out to do this. And then they're both grounded after. Robin doesn't get to go on patrol, Jonathan doesn't get to use his powers to do farm chores. But it's fun. I think they start to understand each other a tiny bit in the end, and Batman and Superman give them permission to be a super team because of their experiences with each other. Batman and Superman used to argue a lot, and then they grew to respect each other. Because once again, they are two very different characters, but at their foundation, they do have a lot in common. Like their commitment to justice and their ideals of justice. One is a bit more violent than the other. One's a bit more conservative, one's a bit more liberal. But at the end of the day, they want people to be safe. They want people to be happy. And that's that. Plus, they're two really popular characters, so you want the really popular characters to be friends so you can sell more books. But, that's it. You know, Super Sons Volume 1, When I Grow Up. I enjoyed it. Yeah, you should check it out. If you like, it's like a Batman Superman book, but with the sons. Of course. And, it's a good idea to read Volume 2 of Rebirth Superman before you read this. I've already reviewed Volume 2 of Rebirth Superman, so check that out. But that's a good idea because that's where they meet in Volume 2 during a little story that establishes them and first drops Super Sons as a name. So that's it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out the links in the description below, Facebook, Twitter, etc. But that is it. Thank you all once again, and I'll see you all later. Ooh. Dabbing.